Hi again. Um, I have been meaning to get back and make my second video, and I'm just getting home from work today, and I felt like today would be a good day to make that second video in honor of my first year clean. Yay! Congratulations to me. It is like so surreal. I can't even believe that it's been a whole year already, honestly. And I thought today, being that it was my anniversary and then that my clean date, and then really that next week I have another interview about my addiction, I thought that I would first start with some questions that I have been asked by other people that have family and loved ones in addiction. And one of the biggest things I think that I've been asked is how to support your recovering addict, your loved one, your mom, dad, boyfriend, sister, whatever it may be, is how to support them without enabling them. How do you gain that trust back? Just like how do you as the person on the outside support us as the addict? And like, do we understand the pain that we've caused? Do we just not want better for our lives? And I think for in my experience, what I've heard from other addicts, what I feel from myself is first and foremost, addiction is a very selfish disease. Selfish in the fact that in our minds the world revolves around us, and sometimes that's not, in a good way. That's not like, oh, everybody loves me. And a lot of the time, more often than not, I would say, just in my experience, what I've heard and seen around is that we believe that we're not loved, that we're unlovable, that we're not worthy, that we're not good enough, and that that selfishness is really this crazy thought that people are constantly thinking about how much they don't like us, or thinking about how not good enough we are, how we don't meet the standards of society. And in some ways that's true, especially when we get lost in active addiction, and I don't know, for me personally, it started out like I could use that as an excuse, that was what I put into me. That was my me time. I gave and gave and gave to everybody else, and I never got anything in return. So what I got in return was being able to take a minute at night, get high, and that's what I did for myself. That was my self-care. And it really does start out like that in the beginning. In the beginning, we don't feel like we're hurting anybody. In the beginning, we feel like it makes us a better person, a better mother, a better friend, a better daughter, son, boyfriend, whatever it is, that it makes us perform better. Because it makes you happy to start with, and because it makes you happy, that makes you more likable, essentially, I think. So to start with, I want to say, in the meetings, in our rooms, when you pick up your year or multiples of years, so 1, 2, 5, 10, however many, like when you get that year mark, a white chip, and then subsequently the black and gold chip, when you pick your chip up, they ask you, how'd you do it? Like, it's this whole thing, and everybody always has different answers. And for me, like, I was thinking about that today on my ride home from work, when I realized that today was my 1 year even. For me, how I did it was just being able to humble myself and be able to ask for help when I needed it. Taking suggestions and being willing and open to taking the suggestions and actually trying them. For me, that is what has worked this time around, is not staying stuck in any problem, instead of being a part of the problem, being a part of the solution, and really actively looking for that solution this time around. Whereas before, it was still about that instant gratification. How can I, the first time I went into recovery, I will say that the main focus was just to get my girls home out of foster care. And while I did that, I potentially could have lost them again because I didn't really do all of the work. I feel like this light is really weird. It's making my under eyes look really white and my face greasy. So just ignore that, I guess. So with that being said, again, I think the one thing I really want to jump into is how to support your loved one's recovery without enabling them, because enabling sometimes can be as little as giving us food, and something that the normal person thinks is helping us and keeping us from starving. Well, really, that just means that we can take the money that we have, that we could have spent on food, and buy dope. I mean, really, that is enabling us at the end of the day. Buying food, bailing us out of jail, giving us money, giving us phones, letting us sit at your house and use your phone all day. I mean, all it takes is one message on Facebook, one phone call, and we might hang around for another hour, maybe another 2, hell. And next thing you know, we've done set up that meeting, and as soon as we walk out of your house or out of your party, whatever it is that you might be having your get-together, we're on the way to get drugs. Like, I remember my middle daughter's first birthday party. We had got some drugs on the way to her party, and everybody was there celebrating my daughter, and I left her birthday party. I left her there with her grandparents and her dad, and because he didn't have a driver's license, he sent me to go pick it up, and I went and met our drug dealer. And before we could even celebrate her birthday, we had already got high on the way there, but an hour into it decided we wanted more. So before we could even celebrate her birth, her first birthday, with all these people there ready to celebrate, and then go trick-or-treating after, we had to take time out first and get high. And really, that wasn't anybody enabling us. Nobody really knew at that time that we were doing drugs. I mean, it wasn't that bad. Yeah, it really wasn't that bad. I mean, if they did know, they definitely didn't say anything. And anyways, so I say this to say this, that we will take any moment and get high during, after, before, whatever it takes. I mean, it's crazy. Like, if we would just take that same stamina and add it to the other parts of our lives, and that whatever it takes, no matter what. And eventually, when you really do join recovery, you become a part of that no matter what club, no matter what it takes. I will not put drugs in my body today. And maybe it's hypocritical. Or maybe it just sounds off to some people that here I am sitting with only 1 year clean and talking about how to support an addict or what addiction looks like. But, like, what better person than anybody in recovery, whether I have 1 year, 20 years, 5 days. Like, we need different things at different stages. And, and in the beginning of your recovery, especially, I don't think you ever graduate from needing these simple things, but there comes a point where you've put the work in and you've become a productive member of society, that I think people tend to forget that, like, you're an addict, like, that this could creep back up at any second, any little amount of stress, like, it's not just this one size fits all. Like, we're all different. It affects us all differently. And at any given second, I could use my phone or your phone and get some drugs. Like, that's scary. That's scary to me. I don't want my children growing up and doing the things that I've done. Even before I did drugs, the things that I did as a normal teenager before I ever touched drugs. Like, I don't want them dabbling in that or making some of the choices that I made. And so to me, I think that the best way that I can try to prevent that, because, you know, we can't prevent any of that, but the best way that I can attempt to prevent that is to keep them educated on where my choices led me, and my choices led me right here. And, you know, and I, like I said in the last video, like, I thank God that I am where I am right now. Like, look at, like, this is my bedroom. I love, whoops. I love my house. I love my house and my job and the people in my life, and I love life right now. But there are days, like, even a year in, like, there are days that I still am miserable, and not it's a different kind of miserable, you know what I mean? I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I don't want to get up. But we all go through that, addict or not. We all have those days where we're just like over it all, you know. And I think it just hits different today compared to before, when I had that sense of hopelessness. Like, I have hope today. In the future, I have hope in the present, you know, like I end my days happy and fulfilled and joyful. I think that what keeps me in that place is staying humble and staying grateful, and remembering that, like, that everything that I've worked hard to get could be gone. Everything. I mean, let's just be honest. First and foremost, my job is out the window because I can't maintain a job while I'm maintaining getting high. Even though I need that money to get high, like, it is expensive to get high, y'all. Expensive, ridiculous. And even though I need that money, I might keep it up for a little bit, but I'm gone. Even if I don't walk out myself, my performance is seriously deteriorating, and they're getting rid of me. But trust and believe, I will figure out how to get that money. Your addict will figure out how to get that money, and we'll go out and get the next high. I mean, it's just is what it is. So first and foremost, I'm going to lose my job, the way that I take care of my children. If I lose my job, I can't pay my car insurance. I can't drive anywhere. I'm probably going to get arrested because I don't have car insurance. You know, the next route from that is, not only will I lose my job, not be able to pay my bills, you know, God knows when my house is the next thing that I'll lose, or my babies. So for me, at the times that I do feel like giving up, I have to remember that I'm fighting this fight for a different kind of good, that I'm fighting it for a greater good. The fight that I'm fighting at today is to make sure that I provide a better life. Like, I'm the only provider for these babies. It's me. Do I have help along the way? Absolutely. Could I make it without those people that do help me out? Not at all. But if it wasn't for me continuing to do the things that I do every day, like wake up and get them all ready for work, like our normal day, get up, get my oldest one out the door ready for school. As I get her out the door, you know, the other two are eating breakfast, getting ready for school. I run them to school, and then I come home and I get ready for work, go to work. As soon as I get off work, I'm going to pick them up wherever they are in the upstate, you know, wherever they are in South Carolina, because the lady who does get them for me, their godmother, you know, she has things she has to do too. Her life goes on and doesn't just stop because she chooses to help me take care of my kids because daycare is closed by the time I get out of work, you know. Like, I get up every day and do this same thing over and over and over again, expecting the same results this time. I expect my life to stay the way that it is right now. And not really just stay the same, expect it to get better. But I don't expect it to get any worse. The thing is that when I was lost in addiction, like, I knew everything was catastrophic. Like, I think I said that in the last video, that I'm a catastrophic thinker. Like, everything was the end of the world. And I don't have to think like that anymore. Anyways, I got off on this whole tangent and, like, how I feel and what I do. And really, that's not what I wanted this all to be about. So hopefully it meant something to somebody, and if it didn't, it meant something to me coming out of my mouth. So that's important anyways. But again, something else that kind of stuck out to me was, don't you feel like crap? Like, don't you hate what you've put everybody through? Like, I've heard that a lot kind of through my recovery, and asking people, what they might want to ask an addict. And the thing is, like, yeah, I feel like crap. I feel like such crap. I hate some of the things that I've done to some people. A lot of the things I've done, actually. The biggest thing that I hate is that I let my kids down. They don't even know, probably. I mean, maybe my oldest one might does, but they really don't even know in the ways I let them down. But the thing is that I look back on memories, and I look back on pictures, right? Like going back to my daughter's first birthday, like I look back on these memories and remember that I really don't remember them. What I do remember is the pictures that were taken. I don't remember them in their entirety. And what kind of parent, especially, does my oldest one remember? Like, who does she remember me being? Does she remember me being a piece of crap junkie? Like, when we were talking about these questions and some of the questions that I have in the interview for this coming up week, one of them was, what was your life? Like, what were you like as a parent in active addiction? And my oldest, she piped up real quick when I was reading through them. She said, I can answer that. And I said, what? She said, we got away with everything. We didn't have any rules. And the thing is that was pretty true. Because I loved those babies so much. There's never been a time that I haven't loved them with every fiber of my soul and wanted the world for them, But I didn't want them around what I was doing. I didn't want them to see what I was doing. And the best way to ensure that they weren't around or didn't see was to kind of let them do their thing, go outside, go play in your room, go do it. Can I do this? Sure, go. Just get out. Don't look at me, And that's regretful. I do feel like crap. When I come in and I try to mend this relationship, like, and try to mend our relationship, mine and yours, whoever you might be to me, my mama, my grandma, my little sister, whoever you are, right? Whoever you are to me. When I come in trying to mend that relationship, I already come in knowing that the trust that you lack was at my hands. That I did something down the road, personally, or even just overall, like even just being an addict on drugs, like I stole your trust from me. Right? So I know that already. You don't have to throw that in my face. You really don't. One of the biggest causes of relapse is stress, right? I already feel like crap. Anything that you could say to me, I've already said to myself 10 times over. And probably worse than what you've got to say. I mean, the truth is the truth. Do I want to know how I've hurt you? Absolutely. Do you need to throw it up in my face? No, you don't. Because I already know. You don't have to remind me. I do know. And it's gut-wrenching sometimes. It really is. Sometimes the only amends that I can make are actual living amends. To try every day, every moment of every day, not to make that same mistake again. Sometimes that's the best that I can do, Beyond saying I'm sorry. Like, I've done so much shit. It's going to be hard for me to apologize for it all. Number one, I might not remember it all, just being completely honest and truthful here. I might not remember every little thing. And not just because I was high, because pain, life itself is perception. You might see something totally different than the way that I see it. to me, you know, this could have been a great, happy old day, and to you, I could have caused a whole lot of pain that day that I didn't even know that I caused. And that could go for an addict or somebody who's not an addict. I don't know. What do you call them? Do you call them normal? Like I've caught myself calling people who aren't addicts normal before. But like, what is normal? None of us are normal. So we've got addicts, and then we've got people who aren't addicts, right? So, I mean, that's just what it is, I guess. But I can't apologize for everything I've done, and you can't expect your addicted or recovering loved one to apologize for every mistake they've made either. You know, are we saying forgive and forget and just give us all that trust back? No, we know we've got to earn that trust. We know that trust is earned, not given, and that it's going to take time. We know that. And that's, you know, something that we know we have to live with, because we made the mistake. We hurt you in some way, in lots of ways, you know. The next thing that I would say, you know, I remember this time early in my recovery, at the rehab that I went to, we had a family day, and there was a time, a part during that family day where we went around the room with different moms, the addicts, and their family members, whether it was their boyfriends, husbands, mom, dads, grannies, just a friend, whoever it was. And it was like a Q&A, right? So all the non-addicts put questions into a pot, and that we went around and the addicts answered, and then the addicts put questions into a pot that the non-addicts' families answered. And I don't even remember where I was going with that, but let me look at my notebook here of what I wrote down. One of the things was how to gain that trust. Yeah, I've hit that. We don't know. We don't know how. You probably don't know how for us to gain that trust, but we know we've got to earn it. So just bear with us. Give us that time. Don't throw all the trust at us. Don't give us all the trust in the world. You know, we've got to earn your trust a little slower than somebody else that might have hurt you, just because there's a lot we can do with that trust. I mean, and that's sad to say, but it's the truth. I mean, it is the truth. You want to extend limited trust. Extend trust where trust is deserved. You know, if you've seen us getting up, going to those meetings, doing lots of self-care, setting goals, achieving goals, you know, give us a little bit, cut us a little slack. Tell us that you're proud of us. Tell us that you're proud and that you love us. That's the thing. I touched on that a little bit in the beginning, you know, is we're so self-centered. We're so self-centered and selfish. But it's because we don't feel loved somewhere along the line, whether that was childhood, adulthood, wherever it is, somewhere along the line, we don't feel good enough. We felt unloved. We felt unworthy. So it's up to you as the loved ones to remind us daily, like, when, you know, especially going to rehab, you start to learn that self-love again. You know, they put you on that path of discovery, and it is up to us to put the work in. But you know what, when you notice something that we're doing that makes you proud, tell us, be vocal, let us know. Like, as an addict, all of our love language is vocal. Like, let us know how we make you feel. If you think we're messing up and you've got a question about it, ask. Don't come out accusing right away. Don't come out accusing. Let's sit down. Let's have a nice talk together. You know, let's talk it out. Come to me. Come to me as a person. Don't hold that in. Come to me. Let's sit down in a quiet place and have a conversation. Hey, listen, I feel like because you have been staying up till 3 o'clock in the morning, you know, you're all of a sudden broke all the time when you had all this money that you were spending before. Like, I'm a little scared. I'm scared that you might be using. Whatever the case is, come to us and ask us. chances are we're probably not going to tell you, yeah, we're using. But if you sit down in that moment and you really know the person that you love, you know. And then if you feel at that point, after sitting down having that conversation, that whatever we might be saying is a whole lie, a whole lie, call us out. But call us out gently. Something like, hey, listen, I'm sorry to tell you, I just don't believe you're being honest with me. I want you to know that if you need help and you want help, I'm going to be there to support you in whatever way I can. But I can no longer hurt myself by helping you. So I've got to take a step back at this point because I don't trust you. When you're ready to take a step forward, I'm all there. I'm there with you, Things like that. We don't want to hurt you. We don't want to hurt you. We don't want to hurt ourselves. We don't want to use. Golly, I can remember so many times crying while crushing up whatever drug it was that I was doing. Crying, rolling up the dollar bill or unpacking the straw, because I didn't want to do it anymore. I didn't want to do it anymore, but I didn't know how to get out of the hole that I had dug. Like, I dug that hole and I didn't know how to get out. Sometimes it takes somebody walking by the pothole, this proverbial pothole, somebody walking by, extending their hand. Be the person that puts your hand out. Be the person that says, I'm here if you need help. Because sometimes that's what we need. We just need somebody to be there. Pretty much all the time, that's what we need, is somebody to be there. I'm just going to say, me specifically, I just want somebody to be there. I just want to be important enough to somebody that they would tell me that they want me there. And I think that a big part of the reason why I got sucked into that hole of addiction, is it wanted me. It wanted me. It made me feel good. It made me feel kind of good that I had not felt before. I was so depressed and didn't even, I knew I was depressed on it, let's be real, but I didn't know, the level of depression that I was at the first time that I used, It's crazy. It's crazy to think back to that first time, and, I know what I was thinking, I was thinking, I'm not a bitch, I'm gonna do it too, but why? Why did I think that was something that was acceptable? I think that using drugs has become so mainstream, and these kids are using drugs, earlier and earlier, middle school, high school, whatever. I don't know anybody that did drugs when I was in middle school or high school. Maybe kids were drinking in high school, sure. Maybe people were smoking weed, sure. But this isn't about smoking weed or drinking a beer. I'm not going to do that. Your addicts shouldn't do that. Whatever your loved one, if, your loved one that's an addict, or you, if you're an addict, you shouldn't do that. But, I'm not talking about that right now, I didn't know anybody that did meth or heroin or pills when I was in high school or middle school. Maybe it was just because I didn't hang out with that crowd. I don't know, but I didn't know anybody that did that. I didn't think it was a real thing, I guess. I don't know. So naive and so stupid, and this is why it's important to me for my children to accompany me when I do get to my meetings. They aren't listening now. That's the thing, is they're not listening to what we're saying in these meetings now, right? But they're hearing it. It's storing up here. It's registering. It's making sense that, look at all these people that are like my mama, that have lost their kids, that have lost their houses, that have lost their husbands and wives. And why? To them, the common denominator is all the same, and that's the only thing that matters to me today, is that they realize that denominator, that drug, whatever the drug is, because when they ask me about drugs, I tell them, why not be honest with them when I've put them in this life? Of course it's age appropriate, whatever. What is age appropriate when it comes to drugs? I'm not going to tell you everything, but I'm going to tell you that, I did drugs and this is why I'm here. Like, they deserve to know that truth. They deserve to know why they're being, drugged to these meetings 3, 4, 5 times a week, however often I need to go. They deserve to know that. Especially my oldest one. The younger two don't care. They're there to play with the kids. They don't even care. But especially my oldest one, because she's about to start middle school. And from what I can hear from these kids start in middle school, So the only thing I need for her to know is to say no. And we brought the DARE program in, to just say no. But look at, it just didn't work. It just didn't work. I mean, for some kids, maybe it did, but for a lot, it did not. I just hope that from hearing, from not listening to not soaking it all up, that just from her sitting in those meetings, playing in the other room, hearing us all talk about the pain and the suffering and the loss, that's enough for her to not want to pick up a drug. That my daughter will have enough sense to come to me before she picks up a drug, no matter what it is. To her, she knows that weed is not okay. I mean, she knows it's not okay. Am I going to tell her that she's, genetically predisposed to be an addict at her 11-year-old age? No, I'm not. But eventually we will have that talk. And I'm sure it'll be before she finishes middle school. She should not drink. She should not smoke weed. She should not do any of that, because she is already genetically predisposed with 2 parents that are addicts, coming from a single parent household, to maybe one day end up an addict. And I don't want that for my kids. So this whole thing has literally seems like it's just become a platform for me to rant about drugs. And the thing is, it might sound redundant, especially to people who are in recovery, because you all know what I'm talking about, But I have to remember to stay true to myself today. And when I made the decision to make these videos, I already decided that I wasn't making them for anybody else, that they were made for me and eventually for my children. If they touch somebody else, they touch somebody else. But at the end of the day, I don't have anybody else to impress today. I don't need to impress anybody else. I mean, if you're struggling with addiction, or a family member or friend who's lost in addiction, you can always reach out to me. If this happens to touch anybody like that, you can always reach out to me. I promise, I've made a promise that I will help whoever God puts in my path to help. Whether that is to just talk to you because you're lonely, or give you a ride to the grocery store, take you to a meeting, whatever it is that's put on my heart, I will do that. And I feel like I've done a pretty good job at holding up to that, because I can remember plenty of times being super tired and got 3 kids to take care of and got to wake up the next morning and do it all over again. And somebody called me and need a ride to a meeting. Somebody called me and want to go, to the grocery store, this, that, and the other. And not charge a dime. Not charge a dime. Not that it's all about money, but I be broke making sure I get you to the grocery store so you got food to feed your babies. I'm just saying. Get out of your own way. Step out of your own shoes. Step out of your own path. Put yourself in the path and in the way to help somebody else. And I do believe that because I'm willing to help somebody when I'm able, anytime I'm able. It's put the people in my path that are willing to help me when I need the help, because we all need somebody sometime. We all do. It's just a matter of time. Like, stop being afraid to ask for help. Stop being afraid to admit that you need help. Maybe I'm just saying that to myself, because I think that my life started coming together the minute I was willing to get out of my own head and admit that I had a problem, and admit that I needed help and ask for that help. I can't think of a time in the last year that I've needed help, I've asked for help, and help wasn't provided. I will say that. Sometimes the help that we think we need isn't the type of help that we do need, though, you know. So you got to remember that sometimes when that door doesn't open, it just means that that's not the door for you. That it's just not the one. Something better is out there for you if the door you want to open does not open. Yeah, so I guess that's all this time. Maybe next week I'll start to tell some of my story. You know, what happened the first time I got high, throughout my addiction, why I wanted to get help. I mean, you know, I said in my first video, and I've said in this video also, you know, that I lost my girls before I had my son, before I went to Serenity Place, the rehab the first time. I lost my girls to DSS. They took them to different foster homes. Is there shame in that? There is absolutely shame in that fact. I will tell you, there is shame and guilt. But that's a part of our path. That's a part of my story. And I have to remember the pain that I felt at that time to keep me from getting there again. So, I think I will. The next video I upload, I think that it'll be at least part of my story, because it's a long one, y'all. It's crazy. I've been kidnapped, like legit kidnapped as a grown adult, 27 years old, 27, 28, been kidnapped here in Greenville, South Carolina, raped, beaten. I've been a victim of sex trafficking, you know, lots of trauma, even trauma surrounding my child. My children, my two girls, before I ever had my son, were taken away by DSS, put in separate foster homes without even giving us the option to put them in family care. They took them out of the family care that we had them in and put them in separate foster homes. And thank God, you know, reading these stories here recently of the little girl who was taken away from her parents and then murdered by her foster parents. Like, oh, okay. Thank God I had good foster parents. And I will tell you, up until the last probably 2 years, I kept in touch with those foster families, because, you know, when I wasn't able to take care of my babies, they were. Was I angry at first? Oh, yes, I was angry. But I am so grateful that it was a short period of time, because from the time that they took them to the time that I got full custody back, when they took them, they took all rights. From the time they took them to the time I got custody back was a total of 6 weeks. Oh my God, it was so long. It was so long, and it felt like hell, but it's nothing compared to some mothers that I know. I mean, still years in without being able to see their babies, and I could not fathom that, because I know the kind of pain that I was in during those few weeks, and months or years would have been pure torture. But yeah, I'll get into that, and just some more about my recovery. Like, what recovery has given me is happiness. My recovery has given me all kinds of material things. I mean, you can look around. Well, not over there. I mean, you can look around my house, and I mean, this is Like, I've got all kinds of material things, and those are great. Those things are wonderful, but I'm most proud of the spiritual things that I've gained. I'm most proud of the things that aren't like the stuff inside me. Like, I'm most proud of that. The growth that I have went through, the family and friends that I've added to my family. I'm thankful for all of them. Recovery gave me the gift of life to be a better mother, to be a better employee, to be a better friend, to just really enjoy my life today. Like, I literally, I'm happy. Like, I'm so happy. Even on the days that I'm not the happiest, like, I just have, like, this peace. And I've never experienced that, If I could give anything to any addict lost in active addiction, if I could tell them anything, like, I would just say that I love you. And I know lots of other people that sit inside rooms that are just like us, that get together daily, weekly, a couple times a week, whatever it may be, that will love you too, unconditionally. We'll love you until you love yourself, and I know firsthand that that's real. Until I was able to really look within and love who I was, the people of those rooms loved me. And I would say, I love you. If you want help, there's help available. If you just want to talk, if you just need somebody to listen, because a lot of times we need that. We just need somebody who's willing to listen to what we have to say. I remember needing that. I remember just wishing that I had somebody who would listen to what was on my heart before my active addiction got really bad. And feeling like I had nobody. That nobody cared what I had to say. That nobody was available when I needed them. I'm available. If you need somebody, I'll listen. No matter who you are. If I know you or don't know you. I am gonna go. I'm gonna go to a meeting tonight. I'm gonna pick up that chip and come back home in my comfortable bed in the heat in this cold weather that South Carolina has gotten this weekend, and be thankful, grateful, and blessed that I woke up today to celebrate 365 days in a row clean, and hope to do it all over again tomorrow, because all we have is today. Today, I choose not to use drugs, mind or mood-altering substances. Stay grateful, stay blessed, one day at a time.